Hello and welcome. This is the Zen community of Oregon, making the teachings of the Buddha Dharma accessible to support your practice. New episodes air every week.
Take refuge in the transcendental values of the universe. We call them taking refuge in the Buddha, taking refuge in the Dharma, taking refuge in the Sangha. Good evening. We've been working on a series called Turning Problems into Wisdom, and hit it from several different perspectives. But what we talked about earlier is stopping, slowing down, looking directly, seeing what the bigger view is, how the different components come together, and then acting, essentially. Now, in the chant, we have this list of problems in the world. Do you remember the list at all?
Illness, fear, disappointment, and violence.
Old age. Wars, disaster, climate change, species extinction. And the question for all of us, in my mind, is we've got those kind of things. We have our particular limitations and failures. How do we turn them into wisdom? I mean, it's got to be practical. We've got to be able to make this real, because if we're just sitting here philosophizing and it doesn't have anything to do with our real life, how do we turn our problems with bills? How do we turn our problems with addiction? How do we turn our problems with insecurity, lack of confidence? If we don't have a handle on that, then practice just becomes, another good exercise. Exercise is good, but it doesn't go very deep. So that's the thread of this particular thing, is how do we turn problems into wisdom? Now, interesting enough, Kodo and I were on a meeting last Tuesday or Wednesday, and the septic system came up at Great Vow, and we were saying, needs to be pumped out, needs to be looked at. And people were saying, no, it's okay. And then the next day, or a couple days later, the whole thing shut down. So our whole septic system, that is 17 toilets, 6 to 8 shower heads, the kitchen, all the sinks and the laundry, everything, all stopped, because there was a collapse in the main line that goes out to the septic tank. The way it goes is there's all the facility, all those things, they go into one pipe. That pipe goes into our septic system. The septic system then pumps it up into the field. And that one pipe, we don't know what it is. We're still processing with it, but it stopped, it blocked. So suddenly, we have 17 toilets all being flushed and going nowhere. We had a problem. I mean, a genuine big problem. And we have a session, a long retreat, beginning tomorrow. And we have 25 people living there. And we had, our 25 people or so who came in addition. So we had 50 or 60 people there this morning. It's a problem. Really, a genuine problem. So our practice is, how do we turn it into wisdom? Now, we can't just say, I'm going to turn it into wisdom and not deal with the problem. We've got to deal with the problem. So turning into wisdom is partly dealing with the problem. The way that we dealt with the problem is Ginsei and Myoyu discovered the situation. We saw this black stuff oozing up out of the gym showers. Realized there was a problem. And we called a Mr. Rooter person who came and spent 7 hours trying to route out the septic system. Couldn't do it. And fortunately, we are so blessed because of our good karma, because of all the things that have happened over the last few years. A guy named Jeff shows up and says, I can help you out. And then a guy named Eric shows up and says, I can help you out. So we realized that the problem was probably somewhere out in this field, probably 200 feet, somewhere in the field that was collapsed or somewhere in the field that was blocked. We couldn't get down there, so they said, we can get an excavator. So they got a giant excavator, which just happened to have the ability to call somebody up and bring an excavator. They had the skill to know how to do it. We dug a 10-foot deep hole yesterday. One of the people happened to know how to dig a 10-foot hole with skill, so it didn't collapse on you. We went down there, we were able to take a saw and saw through the cast iron pipe. Water just spewed everywhere, and it was all sewage water, and it just sprayed out. Eric was down there, and he just says, "Yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way it is." And between we had some other equipment there, we had sump pumps there, we had saws there, we had these guys, all of whom showed up. And some of the wisdom that we learned, not only did we learn about our septic system, more about that, that's definitely wisdom. Knowing about your own septic system is definitely wisdom. But we also learned that, our whole Sangha could just rouse itself, move together in harmony, work to solve this problem, and to seeing the harmony that we were able to bring to bear, the focus, the attention, is wisdom. And we've learned a lot about our septic system. We have a lot of awe now for the people who we were working with, Jeff and Ginsei, and that's wisdom, is to have awe about the wonderful experience that people bring to this, to have awe about how a healthy community can move together in harmony. It was it was a crisis, but nobody was melted down about it, and nobody got angry about it, nobody was cursing or anything else. We just said, let's just deal with this. And that to me is a manifestation of wisdom that comes out and becomes evident with crisis. So that kind of wisdom, we're doing our best to solve the problem, and if we couldn't solve the problem, well, there are things that would happen then. But the wisdom is meeting it, seeing it clearly, responding appropriately with equanimity and clarity. And to me, that's practice. That's what we're all doing here. We're all clearing their minds and finding clarity and equanimity so that we can respond to the challenges of our particular world, respond to the challenges that we face in a most effective and skillful manner. Now, one of the things that we talked about a couple of weeks ago is it's really important to know what belongs to you. What are the problems that you really can deal with? We cannot deal with the snowstorms in Japan. Japan is some places that are under 10 feet of snow. That's not our problem. There are lots of problems that are just not our problem. If we feel compelled, we might donate something to the International Red Cross, or we might donate something to the White Lotus program in the Ukraine. We might donate something. Some people in our Sangha have even gone to the Ukraine or gone to Poland to help with refugees. That's great. That's wonderful. But that means they said, this is my problem. This is something I want to put my energy behind. And so they do it. So knowing of all the problems in the world, all the problems in our life, what are the ones that I'm going to put my energy into? I'm going to focus my attention on. I'm going to put my resources in. It's part of how we turn the problems that we personally face into wisdom. So that's part of what we've kind of an entrance to what we've been talking about the last last few weeks. Is that up to date? Is that a recapitulation of what I've been saying? Okay. Now, we have this chant that we do. We have this dedication where we just list everybody in the world who is suffering, old age, sickness, and death. We all get to face that. We don't quite realize we're going to face that until it actually comes upon us. There's an interesting study I was reading one time about the study was this. People were given a series of questions. And in group A, they were told the answers to the questions. And in group B, they weren't told the answers to the questions. So then they asked both groups, they said, how difficult are these questions? On the scale of 1 to 10, how difficult are these questions? Well, the people who knew the answer said, oh, these aren't so hard. Anybody can figure that out. People who didn't know the answer said, oh, these are really difficult. How would somebody do that? So when we think we know what's going on, we think we know, it prejudices in a certain way. It prejudices, we can't see a problem clearly. Great to have life experience, but to have the mystery of, oh, here's a mysterious thing, I don't really know what's going on, then it gives us the creative power of investigation. And so the principle we're going to talk about tonight is the creative power that comes when we really don't know. As soon as we know things, we begin to block them off. Oh yeah, I got that one down. Oh yes, I know this. Oh yeah, this is the way it should work. Oh yes, this is the way people should treat me. Oh, this is the way it should happen. And it stops our creativity. It stops our lively engagement. It stops our ability to respond. Now, it is good. I have a lot of experience with plumbing and electrical work. It's good to have that experience. You can't, you don't want to negate the wisdom you have. But when we have the attitude going forward, oh yeah, I know how this is going to work. If you work with plumbing, you're always wrong. You're always wrong with plumbing. We used to say plumbing is driving. It means no matter what problem you've got, unless you're a professional plumber with lots of supplies, you always have the wrong thread. You always have the wrong shaped nipple. You always have the wrong fitting. You always have, and you just, so knowledge is great, and when it becomes an obstruction, we can't truly investigate. So what do we actually know? None of us know how our body works. We have 1 trillion cells in our body. We don't know how it's digesting things, if it is digesting things. We don't really know. We don't know how we think. We don't know how, how the sodium pump works. I mean, how is our heart beating? We don't know. We've read in a book, oh yes, the liver has 21 functions, and here are the 21 functions of the liver. But not one of us can experience the 21 functions of the liver. I can't remember exactly how many functions there are, but there's something like that. I read it in a book. So it is the mystery, and we start the mystery, the investigation of mystery, by being present right here, dropping our assumptions of who we think we are. We are mysterious beings. I don't know what thought I'm going to think next. I don't know. And my memory, oh my God, I guarantee that if we walked out of this room right now, we would have 10 different memories of what went on tonight. Our memory is the way memory works is not, we never remember anything in real time. We only remember a little snippet, and then it becomes creative. So we might remember a little snippet from tonight, and then somebody asks you about it, and then suddenly the brain weaves a whole story around it. If we actually, if we recognize memory as like that, we never get into arguments. Because we're never really sure, am I really right? Is my memory of the events, having been married for 40 years, I highly recommend not being sure who said what and what was right. Somebody says, yeah, you really blew it, you said da-da-da-da. I say, oh, okay, well, that's how it seems. We don't have to defend ourselves because my memory is so fallible. All of our memories are fallible. It's part of the mystery. So part of the mystery of being a human being, so we sit down here, we're meditating, we don't know how we're breathing, but we all know we're breathing. We don't know how the body ended up in this particular shape. And yet it has a particular shape at a certain level. We don't have any idea, our digestion is working or not working or semi-working, but it's mystery. We kind of pour things in, trying to make it better. We try to pour things in or keep things out, trying to make it better. And, sometimes it sort of works. It's a mystery. So we sit in Zazen, sitting in mystery. Sitting in mystery. And that mystery is an entrance gate to wonder and awe. How did this being end up here like this, with this mind, with these thoughts? I don't know. I don't know. I want to get really quiet and feel. I want to get really quiet and see what really is here. Our thoughts are all, bifurcated. Our thoughts, the nature of thought is to discriminate between this and that. This is a computer, this is a hand, this is a what's-it, So the place that is not discriminating, it's not sorting things out, is the mystery. I'm going to sit with the mystery. And the quality that's helpful to sit with is not the quality of suspicion, because sometimes we're afraid that, things are mysterious and we get suspicious and we're not sure. But the quality of curiosity, the quality of kindness, the quality of warmth and investigation. If somebody comes and we meet them and we're suspicious of them, we're kind of hostile to them, we've already set up our rights and wrongs and we've already put up a wall, we can't really know who they are. Now, it doesn't mean to say we have appropriate boundaries. Of course, we have to have appropriate boundaries. We have to know, these are my clothes and those are your clothes. And I'm not wearing your clothes, This is my house, that's your house. I'm not, you're not in my house. But that kind of appropriate boundary is really, really appropriate, really important. But there's a mystery. I don't know. I'm not sure. I want to investigate. I want to feel deeply. Now, that's one thing that we can do. If we're not freezing ourselves with the inner critic, with all the assumptions, we're not freezing ourselves with our failures, we're not freezing ourselves with should be different, then we can soften and we get really curious. What is it that's alive right here? I'm alive. Isn't it curious that I'm alive? How'd that happen? We can read in a book, for the last 40 million years, couples have paired off in exactly the right moment, exactly the right time in order to have offspring, in order to have the next generation come. For the last 40 million years or however many it's been. That's pretty mysterious right there. In order to be us, it took 40 million generations or 40,000, whatever the number is. That's pretty mysterious. How'd that happen? How'd all those couples get together at just the right time in order to end up with us? We're a mystery. So we sit, we learn to sit, we learn to feel the body, not as a frozen bunch of failures and muscles and tension, but to feel the curiosity of life that is flowing in and out of us. The breath is breathing us. We are being breathed all the time. And so we do Zazen, we calm the mind down, we stabilize the mind, we bring it into the present moment, and then we watch with mystery. Oh, look at this. Look at this. And instead of having that suspicious, critical failure, instead we become a mysterious being. Isn't that interesting? And then we begin to act, not out of reactivity, not out of all the stuff that we have built up, but out of, curiosity, out of openness. The nature of mystery in this case is not fearful and tight, it's mysterious and open. And so then the heart opens. Now, in order to do that, of course, we don't just go out and, talk to the first aggressive, violent person on the street and say, I'm all open, I'm all loving you, please. That doesn't work that way. We have a healthy, safe container for that exploration. And as we learn more about it, we can discover there are lots of other healthy, safe containers that we can keep that investigation going, and eventually the whole world can become a healthy, safe container for us. But that's a developmental thing. That's not something that we sort of get in our mind and say, I'm going to ignore all the appropriate social boundaries and just launch off. It's something we have to start right here, right now, with our Zazen in this moment. We just did Joseph and I were in Florida, and the joke down there was, it was, in Tallahassee, it was 21 degrees, so it was much colder than it was up here. So we went to Florida for the cold weather. We were going to go to the Chan Center of Tallahassee, which is one of the Chinese teacher named Guagu, his center. We were going to do a 2 or 3 day presentation. It got canceled, at least the in-person part, because of the cold weather, so we did it all online. And we were also in Tampa. We did a 4-day retreat in Tampa and a few talks in Tampa at the Florida Community of Mindfulness. And we got to go to the Ringling Brothers Museum. Highly recommend it. In Sarasota. So it used to be the summer home for Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus, which is, long gone. And I completely forgot why I was telling you this. It had a point to it. Anyhow, it was a great trip. We learned a lot. You never know where you're going to go. We had the really good fortune of some friends of ours, Fred Epsteiner and Angie Parrish. And Fred and I were practitioners at the Zen Center of Rochester 55 years ago. We were both in residence there and maintained a connection. And it's so wonderful to have friends you can just move in with. We were there for 2 weeks living with them, and we all had a great time. It's just wonderful to have people like that. Wonderful people like that. It's a lot easier if you have nothing to defend.
Thank you for listening to the Zen Community of Oregon podcast, and thank you for your practice. New episodes air every week. Please consider making a donation at zendust.org. Your support supports us.